Okay, so this is not an AMV. No, this is me talking over what is more than likely just kind of nothing at this point in time. Because I was clearing through files on my computer and I found a couple of video files that I had created last year for NDK's Iron Chef, where I had done some video demonstrations of just kind of general editing tips and techniques. One of the demonstrations that I had done was involving animation, basically in AMVs, and just kind of artistic intent. Now, what I'm talking about in that regard is the fact that animation in anime, it's a lot of the time, especially nowadays, getting more and more over the top. It's getting, more intense, more crazy, more dynamic, more fluid. A lot of the times it used to be that the money shots, as you could say, or the best animation would be kind of reserved for the anime intros. So you would see sometimes AMVs that were made exclusively of the anime intros, or people would kind of really rely on, those big peak moments from anime to really carry their videos. But now you're seeing anime where the entire source, the entire show is the peak. It never stops. They have a budget that is yes. And that's really, really great. But at the same time, it can lead to AMVs where you kind of put down the footage, and as sometimes we editors may say, it edits itself. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily, no. It's always really, really fun when you put down footage and you're like, oh my god, it syncs. That's freaking awesome. I barely had to do anything. It feels really, really great. But it starts to come into question of artistic intent versus, oh, hey, this edits itself. So, because of that kind of talking point, I did develop some quick, like, little demonstrations, which I will be kind of showing here. One of which is a demonstration where I just kind of took some footage, and just for clarity, I did basically use the exact same tiny little snippet of song. These are very, very short because I did these on a very, very short timeline with very little sleep. Basically, I used one of the Uma Musume movies, which, if you have not seen them, the animation is redonkulous. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it is super over the top, so it is exactly what I'm talking about. So one of these is basically, it's very much like a situation where I found scenes that worked. So I went through, I clipped it, and I was like, okay, yep, that works, that works, that works. And I approached it as if I was an editor who was, perhaps newer, and just kind of looking for scenes where I'm like, yeah, you know what, that syncs. I was not trying to make a bad video per se, but I was trying to make something where I found scenes where the animation kind of did the work for me. It's not saying that this is a worse way to do it, but it is 100% a video where I just kind of let the footage take the wheel for me. So first I want to play that, and then I'm going to afterwards talk about that a little bit more, and then I'm going to play the video that I made. So there you have it. Like I said, it's very, very short. I apologize, and I know that it just kind of like starts in the middle of the song. Again, I was working on a very, very tight turnaround for these. This was kind of like a really last minute idea that I had that I really wanted to run with, and I did it. So yeah, it's a thing. And again, some experienced editors might just say, well, again, you just kind of let scenes play out, what the heck? Yeah, that was the idea. Congratulations. You understand the concept. Especially that scene, with Tachyon, if you don't know the horse's name, the science horse, where her foot just kind of goes on forever with the rainbows behind it. But the thing is, it syncs. It still works. When the beat hits, her foot hits the ground. It works. This is not necessarily a bad way to approach editing. There are a lot of editors, again, especially newer ones, that will say, this works. There are things that synced. That is not necessarily a bad cut. That is not necessarily a bad edit. I was not trying to make one that was worse than the other. However, looking at that video, There is absolutely nothing about that edit that says it's from me. And this is kind of where we get into the difference between letting the source take the wheel, oh my gosh, it edits itself, that is so awesome, and artistic intent. Yes, it edits itself, that was great, it totally works, but there is nothing about what I just showed you that is my style, that is from me. I'm the editor. There's a lot of people that you would say that editing is an art form, whether or not you agree or disagree. One of the things that I love about art as a whole, I also do art on the side, is seeing each artist's individual style, being able to identify their individual style. Um, that's really important. That's one of the best things about art. That's why you follow different artists. So if everybody was just kind of relying on the exact same, style and just kind of cranking out, it would just kind of all blend together. So that's why I went through and I approached the exact same section of the song. I actually used most of the exact same scenes, um, and I edited it in a way that I would approach it. So that's what I'm going to show you next. Exact same section of song, mostly the exact same scenes, but it's how I would edit it. So there you go. That's how I would edit. The exact same section of song, the exact same selection mostly of scenes. Obviously, I did have to include some additional scenes in there because I edited some of the scenes a little bit differently. I wanted to rearrange some things. And you may even say, hey, I prefer the first edit. I was able to tell what's going on a bit easier. I was able to follow, the movie better. But to that, I would say you're not here to watch the movie. You're not here to watch the Uma Musume movie in order from start to finish. You're here to watch an AMV. You're here to see how I approach editing this anime, what I have done with the anime and the song. If you want to watch the movie, go watch the movie. If you want to see what an editor has chosen to do with the anime and the audio, and how they approach putting those two things together and what they believe is the best way to combine those two things, then that's when you watch AMVs. So again, there's not necessarily a bad way to approach it. I'm not, again, saying that one is worse than the other. But what I'm saying is the first one, that could be by anyone. And that's not a bad thing. But it's not by me. If I want somebody to watch one of my AMVs, I want them to be able to say, that's one of Yoi's videos. Yep, I can tell because like she loves to do these stupid little things. She loves to do these types of scene, selections and this type of sync and these types of transitions and all kinds of things like that. I like people to be able to pick out videos that are mine. I like people to get certain feelings when they watch my videos. I like people to be able to identify my style. Not every single time it's going to, pop out as well as the others, but if I'm not putting my own creative spin or my own touches on my videos, then I'm not getting any creative satisfaction out of this hobby. I'm just kind of churning out content for the sake of churning out content. And if you're just kind of doing this to, put two things together and just like vibe because you're like, hey, I like this anime and I like this song and like that brings you joy, by all means, like you don't have to like continuously push yourself infinitely to always like make some kind of insane piece of art that pushes the boundaries every single time. Like that's not required. Like, you can do this to totally just like vibe and have a good time. That's 100% okay. But if you are trying to ever develop yourself, if you're ever trying to develop your style, if you're ever trying to improve, then that's the kind of thing that you need to start asking yourself. Is you need to start asking yourself, okay, what about this makes it my video? What do I like to do? What are my kind of like signatures that I like to go for? What are some things that kind of like pop to me that I like to kind of rely on and come back to? You know, how do I want to edit this scene? Yes, I can just put it down, and if it automatically syncs, that's really cool. But could I make it sync a little bit better? You know, could I tighten it up? What if I cut out a couple frames here and there? Does it sync just a little bit tighter? What if I move it a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right? Yes, it may kind of like automatically feel like it syncs itself because again, animation is getting wacky bananas, crazy amazing these days. But ask yourself, is there something more that you as the AMV editor can do? Is there something that you can do to put your touch on the video to make it your own? And I've had way more time to talk and blab than I did at the Iron Chef. Also, I've had way more sleep than I did at the Iron Chef. Oh my god, it was a rambly, horrible mess. I feel so bad for the people in that audience. This is what I wanted to basically say. I did not say like any of this. There was another demo, if I can find it. It was a Faces and Hands demo. That was a horrible thing to watch and show people, but I made it. It exists in this world somewhere. But yeah, hopefully this helps or you all enjoy it. I'm sorry this was not an AMV. I am editing right now though. Hey, what up? I'm making videos. Yeah, this is like 12 minutes long and it's gonna be like black screen mostly. Sorry. Bye.